How's it going, everybody? It's Royalty Crypto here, and today I will be talking about the Layer 1 blockchain Injective. In my opinion, this is one of the most promising Layer 1s in the crypto space right now. I also will be taking a look at the overall crypto market as a whole and discussing the situation that is playing out between the US and Venezuela as we speak, and I will share some of my thoughts on how this might impact the crypto market going into next week. But before I get into all of that, guys, this is a brand new crypto YouTube channel. So if you like this type of content, please make sure to smash the like and subscribe button. I greatly appreciate all the support and it really does help out the channel. But let's go ahead and take a look at the overall crypto market first. As you can see, Bitcoin is holding up somewhat strong, currently sitting at $90,000. And we did have quite a nice day yesterday as we did rally all the way up to about 90,700 before getting rejected off of a resistance zone yet again. And the same thing is playing out with Ethereum and Solana right now. They both had somewhat fantastic days yesterday, and they are currently trying to hold those gains as we speak. I will say that it is definitely a positive thing that the crypto market isn't nuking to the downside right now, despite the uncertainty around the Venezuela situation that I will discuss later in this video. And in my opinion, guys, even if you aren't holding these coins, I still do think it is a very important thing for you to be paying attention to their price action, because I think that in order for Injective to have another bull run, we need Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana to all have another leg to the upside, but I do think that that will happen sometime in 2026. So let's take a look at Injective. Injective is currently trading at $4.87, which equates to a $486 million market cap. And one of my favorite things about Injective compared to a lot of the other layer 1 blockchains is the fact that it has all of its tokens in circulation, so you won't be dealing with any inflation with this coin, which is very important in my opinion. When you take a look at the chart, Injective is currently sitting at prices that we haven't seen since early 2023. Now, in my opinion, that shouldn't be something that discourages you from investing into this project, because I do think that this coin could have a very nice rally in 2026. In fact, this is presenting a very solid risk to reward opportunity in my opinion. Because guys, as you know, and if you watch my videos, it is almost always the right move to be dollar cost averaging into fear and into the low price action like what we are seeing with Injective, rather than buying into the hype and towards the top of the pumps that we do see for these coins. For example, if you were buying up here at $40 in early 2024, you would be down substantially with this coin. However, if you were buying prior to that pump back in early 2023, when this coin wasn't being talked about very much, you could have potentially made a 30x on your money. So in my opinion, I do think that buying down here at $4.80 could end up being a fantastic play in terms of financial gain if you are to take advantage of this fear and then sell when the market gets greedy. And of course, guys, that is not financial advice. That is just my opinion, and none of my videos ever have financial advice in them. But in my opinion, now would be the time to accumulate if you are bullish on Injective for the medium to long term. And in my opinion, guys, if we do end up seeing another leg up for Bitcoin and say that we get somewhere between $140,000 to $180,000, I could see Injective smashing through the previous all-time high, which was set at a $4 billion market cap. So that was about 8x higher from here in terms of market cap. And I could actually see this coin getting anywhere between a $10 to $20 billion market cap. Now, of course, nothing is guaranteed for altcoins, and it is very important to take profits on the way up. So definitely don't just try to hold your entire position until 20 billion and hope that we get there and then plan on selling it all once we do. I think that it is best to slowly sell on the way up, and that is what I will personally be doing with these coins. Now, let's take a look at some Injective news. As you can see here, Canary Capital and 21 Shares have both filed S1 proposals for the first US staked Injective ETFs, and this would be fantastic in my opinion, because this would give institutional investors and people that only hold basically all of their funds in a stock portfolio the ability to potentially invest into a coin like Injective. Now, I wouldn't say that the second these ETFs go live, whenever that may be, that it will instantly be bullish for Injective. However, once the crypto market does start to get hot again and greed starts to flow back towards these risk-on assets, I would not be surprised whatsoever if these Injective ETFs actually do have some pretty substantial inflows, because when people start to get greedy, they will start to invest into these coins, even if they don't know much about them. You see it basically every single cycle whenever we we do have greed returning to the market. And of course, any inflows into an altcoin like this is positive, especially considering that we are only at a $500 million market cap. So it really doesn't take much money to move the price of Injective whatsoever. So this is very bullish to see. Also, I talked about this in my last Injective video, but they are making some very interesting real world asset tokenization plays, which is fantastic to see because real world assets is one of my favorite narratives. And as you can see here, they are currently working with Pineapple Financial in migrating a $10 billion mortgage portfolio onto the Injective blockchain, which is really cool. And they have also launched a platform that has perpetual futures for private companies like OpenAI, SpaceX, and Perplexity. So I think that that is really cool to see. And then the last thing in terms of news that I did want to mention is that back in December of last year, they did have a significant mainnet upgrade called IIP 603 that improved the overall network performance, which in my opinion is very important because the layer 1 blockchain space has become much more competitive in recent years. So it is very important for blockchains like Injective to make sure that they are staying competitive in terms of blockchain technology, and with this upgrade they undoubtedly are doing so. But alright guys, so let's go ahead and talk about what's playing out between the US and Venezuela right now. And of course this is just an update based on the news that has come out so far, and I'm sure that over the next couple of days we will hear much more that clarifies exactly what is going on. But as you can see from this tweet here, at 10:30 p.m. last night, Chinese officials did arrive in Venezuela to meet with President Maduro, and then early this morning these unexpected airstrikes in Venezuela began, and Trump did confirm that he was the one that ordered those airstrikes. Shortly after that, President Trump announced that the US did capture President Maduro and his wife, and he is currently in the United States and he is awaiting trial. Now, when I did see this news come out this morning, I definitely expected to open the crypto portfolio and just see that everything had completely nuked to the downside. However, that has actually not happened yet, and crypto prices, as I mentioned earlier, have been holding up quite nicely. As you can see, Bitcoin is currently trading at 90,200, so it is actually slightly up from when I went to sleep last night. So that is very interesting to see. I feel like if this would have happened just a couple of weeks ago even, I guarantee you that the price of Bitcoin would have fallen like $5,000 in a matter of probably an hour. And I still do think that it is possible that we could see some weakness enter the market, especially when the stock market pre-market opens tomorrow afternoon. So we'll have to see what the stock market thinks about all of this, because typically when we see weakness in the stock market, that does correlate with what happens in crypto. So yeah, I'm keeping my eyes on that personally. And then of course, if we do see anything out of potentially Russia or China about possibly retaliating against us in some way, that could also be negative for crypto. So this is unfortunate to see in terms of assets in my opinion, but let's just hope that it doesn't escalate further than this, and let's hope that this does not turn into a black swan event, because of course guys, we finally get some momentum in the crypto market and we have to have something like this take place. It seems like it happens every single time like it's clockwork. I don't get it, but yeah, at this point all we can really do is just monitor the situation as I am currently doing. One thing that could potentially be positive out of this situation for our overall economy, and guys, I'm not an expert on this type of stuff, so I don't know what the legality is behind it or if we can even reasonably do this, but apparently Venezuela holds 303 billion barrels of oil. Each barrel of oil is currently worth $57, which equates to a total value of $17.3 trillion in reserves. And from what I'm seeing so far, apparently the US has claimed control over the oil, and if this actually is the case, and I think that it is too early to say whether or not that will be absolutely the case, but that is basically half of our nation's debt, and acquiring that level of assets could potentially be incredibly bullish for our overall economy. But of course guys, I don't really know what will happen with this, and I'm not taking sides in this video by any means. I'm just laying out the information that I am seeing so far. So yeah guys, we'll just have to see what ends up playing out with all of this, but so far it does seem like our assets are holding up in value, which is of course fantastic to see for us. But alright guys, that is going to do it for this video. I hope that you all have a fantastic weekend, and I will be talking to you guys tomorrow. Peace.